Hello, how you doing? It's Monday, it's a bit gloomy outside, I've got a bit of a cold, but none of that is going to stop me getting through the 5 things I learned from this weekend's football. Number 1, Gary Neville has no idea what YouTube fan channel accounts are. At the weekend he was commentating on the Chelsea-Arsenal game, and during that game an Arsenal fan held up a banner saying time to go to Arsene Wenger. Now Neville criticised that guy, and probably quite rightly, because that guy has brought that banner to the game before the game's even started. So if Arsenal had won that game, what would he have done? Just like tucked it in his jacket all game and then taken it back on the train with no one seeing it? That's kind of a bit cringy. But fans are allowed to have their opinions, and Arsenal fans are allowed to have opinions about Wenger. They haven't won the title in a long time, and yes, he's a fantastic manager and he's changed English football forever, but Arsenal fans are allowed to want someone else if they want to. That's their right as fans, as matchday going paying fans. But after the game, Neville then criticised Arsenal Fan TV, saying he saw them outside the game moaning, recording their reactions, having a moan at Wenger and saying it was embarrassing. Now, Arsenal Fan TV is a bit of an institution. It's pretty much the #1 fan channel, and Robbie has built it up from the ground, from nothing, into this thing that not just Arsenal fans, people will watch, especially if Arsenal lose. How many people do you know that say, oh, I can't wait to watch Arsenal Fan TV tonight, it's going to be really entertaining when Arsenal lose? And it is. Robbie seems to find these characters from somewhere, and it is entertaining to see, and I'm sure he knows that. But the bottom line is, it's important for fans to have their voice, and these days with the growth of fan channels, fans now have more chance to say what they think than ever, and that's really important. They pay their money, they're allowed to say these things. They've said it before in fanzines in the 80s and 90s, online, you know, in the last couple of years, and now on fan channels. It's a revolution, and fans are allowed to have that. And for Gary Neville to say it's embarrassing belittles fan channels, not just Arsenal Fan TV, but fan channels for every club, and that's not fair, unless it is the view of a man who's in a very comfy pundit position in Sky and is actually a bit worried about fan channels and their power. In that case, maybe it was intentional. But the bottom line is, Gary Neville needs to kind of wake up and realise that fan channels are a thing. Yes, Arsenal Fan TV is panto sometimes, you know, but it's interesting. Football kind of is panto anyway, and we love characters in the game and outside of the game, and fans are now part of that. Gary Neville needs to accept that, and maybe not belittle fan channels just because he's not happy with the things they say. Point number 2 is Palace managers should never dance on the touchline. We all saw what happened when Alan Pardew did his little boogie in the FA Cup final. This weekend, Sam Allardyce did the same thing on the touchline before Palace played Sunderland, walking to the dugout. He did a little boogie with Alice the Eagle, one of our mascots. Now that's fine, except the fact that Palace then went on to play probably one of the worst 45 minutes I've ever seen as a Palace fan. We lost 4-0 at home to Sunderland, the worst team in the Premier League. They've won once away all season. They haven't kept a clean sheet away for the entire season, and Palace capitulated and were terrible. And the thing is, if you're going to do a dance, wait till Palace have won. At least wait till the end of the game. Don't do it before there's a chance that Palace will screw things up, because the narrative of Palace is when they get into a position of looking like they're going to do well, they will screw it up. And it's happened to Pardew, and now it's happened to Allardyce. And so I'm putting a ban in place to all future Palace managers. Do not dance on the touchline unless Palace have already won the game. In fact, just don't do it. Just don't do it. The third thing we learned, and this is related to the Palace game, it hurts me, but we did learn that Jack Rodwell is not cursed. 37 games he had started for Sunderland, and he'd not won a single game. 17 draws, 20 defeats. At this point, you're starting to think, I must be cursed, and I'm never going to be in the team again, because clearly I am making this team lose. Rodwell's cursed run went on for 3 years and 8 months. That is crazy. And I remember when Rodwell was this young English talent coming through, and suddenly he lost his way. And obviously it's got nothing to do with this actual curse, but he definitely is not gone in the trajectory we expected of a young, talented English midfielder. And he is quite good. Like, he's not brilliant. Maybe he was overhyped in the way that a lot of English talents are, but he is quite a good player. Unfortunately for me and all Palace fans, that run ended against Palace in spectacular fashion, it must be said. And Rodwell wasn't really anything to do with it. He had an okay game. I mean, Defoe was the player that really caused the difference, and Kone as well. And basically Palace just being terrible from start to finish. But Rodwell, you know, your run's ended, so you're not cursed. I mean, you're not great, but you're not cursed. So now you can continue with your life and your career as normal. Before we go on to point 4, just to remind you, I'm doing a live comedy football show on Saturday, February the 25th in London. I'll be doing some of my songs, some games, some jokes, doing it with a friend of mine called Dave Bibby. It's called Jim and Dave Have Lost the Dressing Room. Tickets are £7.50 and it starts at 7:30. It'd be great to see you there if you are in London. Come along, it's going to be an hour of football comedy fun. Tickets are available now. There's a link below the description right now. They're selling quite quickly, so get it soon to avoid disappointment. The fourth thing we learned is that Chelsea are going to win the Premier League title. I mean, it's pretty much a given. They're so far ahead. They're the only team playing well. No one's challenging them. If they don't win the title at this point, something is going to go wrong. But the reason I know that Chelsea are going to win the title is because the New England Patriots won the Super Bowl this weekend. That is their 5th Super Bowl title. I don't really follow American football. 3 out of the 4 previous times they've won it, Chelsea have gone on to win the Premier League title. 2004, 2005 and 2015, which can only lead me to believe that 2017 Chelsea are going to be Premier League title champions. Also, the last 2 times Burnley were in the Premier League, Chelsea also won the title. So it's pretty much nailed on. So if you haven't yet, lump on Chelsea winning the title. I mean, it's pretty much a given anyway, but now we've had confirmation from the NFL, from the Patriots, Chelsea are going to be Premier League champions. And the final thing we've learned, well, reconfirmed, is that Paul Merson hasn't got a clue what he's talking about. I think we mentioned this in one of the previous 5 things we learned videos, but Paul Merson has done it again. When Marco Silva was appointed Hull manager, Paul Merson and Phil Thompson on Soccer Saturday both went on huge rants about how this is unacceptable. He's a nobody. He doesn't know the Premier League. He doesn't even speak English. Turns out he does speak English very well. The job should go to an Englishman. It should go to Gary Rowett. It should go to Ryan Giggs. Not English. He's Welsh. But it turns out that Marco Silva has been fantastic for Hull. And as a Palace fan, this is quite worrying because they are suddenly picking up form. In 8 games, they've won 4, drawn 1, lost 3. And their home form, which we know is important when you want to try and stay up, has been superb. They've beaten Man United, Liverpool, Bournemouth and Swansea. He has had the exact immediate effect that people want from a new manager. And so who cares if he's a nobody? He clearly knows what he's doing and knows how to get the best out of his players. So Hull, well done, you got the right man. As a Palace fan, I'm a bit worried. But Paul Merson, I know you're just a court jester, that's fine, and I know you're entertaining. But you and Phil Thompson got this one hugely wrong. Well, so far. If Hull go down, I'll give it to you. At the moment, it looks like you were wrong. Marco Silva is being proved right. Okay, that's it. Thanks very much for watching. Comment below, let me know what you learned this weekend. Like the video if you enjoyed this series, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. I'm off to go and watch Arsenal Fan TV.
I mean, stop swearing at me. Stop swearing at me.
Stop
swearing at me. You're saying you're upset.
It's the same old shit, though.
Stop swearing at me.
The other
I'm not
night,
swearing at you.